This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes. May I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None being opposed. Right along. E, regular items, action items. Consider recommending approval of outdoor pickleball courts at Roswell Adult Center, funded by the Adult Center Foundation.
All right.
Who's gonna,
You want to take it? You want me to?
I haven't talked to him since I turned it over to you. They haven't
Okay.
talked to me anymore, so.
All right, well, Carolyn Mitchell and they all got together and had a brief conversation with our attorney. And, we don't see any roadblocks there. So the idea is to come to this meeting first out of respect, move it to general services, then legal, then council. So, normal thing. What it is they're gonna build some pickleball courts in the parking lot there at the adult center. That's a nice complex, I don't know, $500,000, something like that. $500,000. Yeah, minimum.
Where's it gonna be at?
Right there, you know where the arch is in the parking lot? Right there.
Perfect.
And they're gonna keep the arch.
Okay.
I was able to do a walkthrough when, the
Yeah.
the new city manager stopped in at the adult center. I was happened to be there during last year. And he talked to, one of the board members for the foundation, walked them out, and it looks pretty amazing what they already had. And they already had architect, design, I think Smith Engineering.
Smith, yes.
And
Is it just a slab? Does it have?
Oh, no,
It's gonna have a
fans and
Really?
colors and lights, and I just be able
Oh,
to play,
my gosh.
I just be able to play at night when it's cooler.
Oh, really? Okay.
So they
And,
want to
and
bring
their
it up
idea
here.
is that it could be used for multiple things,
Yes.
not just pickleball.
Okay.
Um,
Do they have events on it if they wanted to?
It's mainly pickleball.
Okay.
It's really-
Okay.
Yeah, because it's confusing to everybody, we got pickleball and
Yes.
tennis. Everybody gets confused, everybody takes the
Yeah.
pickleball lines up. Well,
Yeah.
council said to put all the lines on all the courts. So we-
Really?
Yeah, so we do what we're asked to do.
Oh.
But unless we, as long as we don't bring it up, anyhow.
I thought that the USTA said they couldn't have a sanctioned tennis match if they had the pickleball lines on there.
Yeah,
That was
and
years ago. I don't
it
know.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
Has there ever been a tournament?
Yeah, it
Well, they
doesn't.
did that, yeah.
Long time ago,
Yeah.
but they still have to do some more repairs to tennis courts.
Okay.
This will be the third time, so.
Oh, okay.
But that's what we're here today is to ask for a vote to go forward with this project to, general services and then, like I said, legal. And that's Carolyn right now. She's gonna come right now, but
Can you move it to?
Does she have a
I
presentation?
thought I'd be good. Holiday, can you present it okay? I got it. I mean, she didn't have to,
She's gonna have to attend the services.
Yeah.
yeah, she had to go, yeah.
Is she the lady that's getting the money or what?
They already have the money.
President
Of the foundation.
Of the Adult Center Foundation,
So where would this money be coming from?
from their foundation.
They got that kind of money?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
They've got a lot of stuff in there that they bought.
Yeah, they can do it.
Wow.
Anyhow, we just want permission to, a vote to move it on to general services.
I go to approve it and it gets moved to general services for the Adult Center pickleball paid by the foundation.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? If there's no more discussion, there's a motion, second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Favor. Now we're moving on to non-action items. Discussion on city volunteer program regarding clinics. And it says Geneva Daring Martinez.
Yeah, I put this on here. I talked to Tracy from the Adult Center today. She was asking for approval on description for the roller skate clinic, and that is gonna go through for July.
Yeah, we are, she talked back with her with the other Tracy. So Tracy Hutchison.
Right.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so Tracy was asking, I think there was an age, to verify the age. And I think you were gonna let her know what you discussed, exactly what age you want, and then we'll start advertising.
Okay. But also the reason why I put it on here was because we had that, the reason why the volunteer program regarding clinics or camps was brought up was because during the budget cuts, some of the city clinics, the aquatic center classes were canceled. Intro to football, intro to basketball, intro to t-ball, volleyball, soccer, and the MMA, which I believe was, they were gonna go ahead and continue doing. We came together as Kathy Lay to try to, and did a call out to the community to see what volunteers would like to take on these programs. We had a handful of people show up that wanted to volunteer. Came up with, because it's a volunteer program, our coaches that stepped up only had a certain time frame that they could work with because they're all working. We thought we were going to move forward. During this time, I also ended up with a house flood and a hysterectomy. So medically, I've been kind of out. And I was trying to get a follow-up meeting scheduled, but after a few emails with what's your gentleman? Hayden Dunlap. He came up with some times of when these clinics will happen. They aren't the same times that our volunteers said that they could do. I mean, that meeting that we had was very exciting and hopeful to move forward with our community stepping in to help. It just feels like it was a step back because now all of our volunteers can't volunteer at that time. And in a way, it felt like it was a waste of my time and energy for all the other coaches that were stepping up. But I am excited to hear that we are going to have a roller skate clinic. Because we were told that that wasn't going to happen.
What are the times that the volunteers can do?
Okay, can I
Yeah,
interject?
please
real
do.
quick? Okay, so what Caden came up with is, okay, so we canceled this, and we had a lot of parents upset with us, of course. And so we wanted some time, we didn't want to rush back in. I think we only had a week or so before they were supposed to have started. So we kind of had to back up a little bit so that we could take our time, re-advertise it, promise them that we wouldn't cancel it this go around, and and start talking with the volunteers. We got a hold of that Caleb. And he is going to, we have moved these classes, these intro to sports classes. We were having a hard time getting them to make as well. We had probably about, and when I say we had to cancel, we had 10 different classes that we were going to offer. We only had like 4 in each class on average. And so.
And we talked about that during that meeting, and, you know, we identified some reasons why we felt that maybe people weren't gonna come. If it's one day a week before a week, children are gonna lose their skills, they're not going, you know, if it's a 4-day clinic.
It's not a clinic, it's a class, it's an intro class, so before they start doing like your lead, then they would come to this so the parents can see if they even like them. That's what, we did this to help the ladies.
And I didn't understand, yeah, I know that there was terminology issues going back and forth of, is it a clinic, is it a camp, is it a class? And I thought, Dunlap had said that not to call it a camp, that it was a clinic. And so if it's whatever the name of it is
Yeah,
gonna be.
because a clinic can kind of, and we're trying to work through that too, and you're right. A clinic can kind of convey that they already know what they're doing and they're coming in to kind of hone their skills. Because we've had like football clinics, we've had a bunch of different types of clinic, and you come in and you start working more advanced and try to hone in. A class is going to see if for the parents to see if the child likes it. So however we phrase it.
Right.
So what he did is he came up with a schedule, and like I said, Caleb said he's going to do it, but we're not going to do this until it's closer to when that league is starting their league. So I think that was another reason why some of these weren't making, because that league had already gone. So like basketball had already gone. And so here's a basketball class. If you're gonna like it, what are you gonna do after the class type thing? And that's what we were trying to do, is we were noticing that it wasn't really lined up correctly to go, okay, they like the class, now here's the basketball league that you can sign up for.
Yeah, and it would have been great if, someone could have been there, because it was discussed through, several of us here.
I would have loved to have been there.
And I knew that you
I
were.
can't tell you enough, and I'm sorry that I missed it. I would have loved to have been there because I could have explained all of this.
Because then it really took us back, because as
And I
we saw it,
apologize, yeah.
as we've seen our community work before, is more, you know, if we're gonna have summer program for kids to do, we were gonna do it 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. That way, if someone wanted to play basketball and football, they weren't interlocking together. We were trying to have all the coaches on the same page, and then,
I think you talked to David, didn't you?
I didn't talk to David until this week.
Right, and express this. Were y'all even interested in it? He thought
No.
you didn't express.
No.
this.
I've talked to my board. I've talked to another board member from another league. And I had some basketball guys lined up to do a basketball clinic. The one thing that I think would have helped is if we would have had some dialogue, because when I looked at the age groups, when you say intro, 3 and 4 year olds, their attention span is about this big.
Right,
And-
and they
and-
gotta really know
and-
what you're doing.
and we
really
can't-
better.
and-
My attention spans like that.
I know, but 3 and 4 year olds,
they don't even have the hand-eye coordination to do a basketball.
right, and that was some of the dialogue, I think that the classes would work. Because football, they're doing a camp down in Artesia. They did a camp, they had the camp here, what is it, about a month and a half ago. The basketball, those are the basketball, baseball,
Volleyball.
and
Volleyball.
basketball, baseball, and what was the other sport?
Sure.
Soccer. No, people are drawn to that no matter what the season is. And I think this is just me talking. Had we had some dialogue, we could have had some input, because I've run football camps. I've
We
run,
don't wanna keep-
I know, okay, but we're talking, whether it's a camp or a clinic or a
No,
class.
and we don't care if the league's wanna take the
I know,
camps
but-
during your time, that's perfect.
But our deal is, we were offering a service to the city where, because because one of the things that I've heard was, y'all didn't have the staff to do the things in the budget. And, I think what concerned me is that we're willing to step in and help. We're not trying to supplant the city. We're not trying to take over for the city. It's just that we were offering a service that wasn't gonna cost the city a dime. And we get caught up in apples and oranges. We know they're different fruits. They look different, but it just caught me off guard when, oh, well, it's not a camp, it's a clinic, it's this, it's that. Well, I've never seen classes where you go from on a Monday and you wait for 4 days to come back to the same class on another Monday, especially with the age group you're dealing with.
Right. And and we were looking at that too. I think that had a lot to do with why we weren't getting the numbers in these classes.
So
this is why we wanted to come to the table and say, we know how to get the kids to these classes.
I could have, and so,
I think that's great. I think it's just, it hit, and I'm sorry that I was not there. I'd have loved to have been there.
But, like you said,
It's too late.
well, you know what?
Kind of not too late, but also burned out. Like, we came, we were really excited about it. I know physically, I have to take a step back. I will be there for the July 8th classes, and I'm very excited that that's going to happen. But what we needed was just support from the city saying, yes, we can open up the facility and we can run it through my rec. And we were gonna take on everything else. And as a volunteer, of what Kathy Lee had said is, now by signing up through the volunteer program, the liability, it was covered everything.
Okay, and what we're finding, because we started working with Kathy's list, and we started going through, and April was contacting 25 people off of that list. What she got were 2.
Well,
Caleb was one of them.
Right, because we called a certain amount of people to come to the table to sign up as a volunteer. And so when we were going to have all those volunteers that wanted to be coaches, or coaches that wanted to be volunteers, they would then sign up and take that lead on. And that's when I wanted them to get in contact with you and, discuss like how the schedule is going to work out. My whole goal was just to bring everybody to the table. When we brought people to the table, they were excited, they wanted to do the camps, clinics, classes, and then it just kind of, the schedule got created. I asked for a meeting. You had said that we didn't need to come back for another meeting. At that point, my hands were like in the air.
and I think when I was looking at that list that Ms. Lake provided for me, if I look at that list, most of them are, I'm willing to coach my son's team. I'm sorry, to me, that's not volunteer.
Right.
Because if you're only.
And we're finding that when we call, they don't want to take on the whole thing.
No,
They
and
don't want to. They
none
don't
of
want
those,
to teach by themselves.
none of my people's names are on there. My name's not even on there.
I know. Are you signed up as a volunteer?
No, we were gonna do it as soon as we had that meeting. Because I don't wanna put people out there and then we get caught up in semantics about this or that. And so I can provide you a list of the coaches that I talked to, the people from the league.
Yes, please.
But when I was really thrown aback when I got that email, and I said, okay, you know what, we'll back up. I talked to my board last week about us setting up camps, because we used to do them anyway. I used to do this football camp for the city. I don't do anything for money. I won't do anything for money. And I'm not here to pat ourselves on the back, but we have to remember we're here to serve as kids, and that's all of the kids in Chaves County. And we didn't want to. Y'all could take the money. We were willing to provide the labor. Maybe in the future we can come back to that. But
So going forward, what can we do?
well, I know I've talked to my board, and we're planning on doing we're still planning on doing a football camp clinic.
And we'll talk with Caleb Grant, Noonoff, and all them and see if they can't do a baseball clinic,
Well,
a baseball class.
Because Caleb Grant's name is on that list as well.
I think it was Caleb Grant or Caleb Cole.
No, there's Caleb Grant on there. He coached his son's basketball team over at UNO.
Right.
But I know
and
Caleb
he's-
Cole was the one
With
that
the
was
soccer.
the soccer guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's gonna come do it for us. He's gonna do this.
It's just, the problem that we had is like, my volunteers, we all were planning on doing something in the evening when the sun was down, which we've done in the past. Football camp.
And see, that's perfect, because some of the evenings we cannot do, we just don't have the staff, or we
No.
don't have the room.
But it wasn't
in the
gonna
rec
be
center.
We were gonna,
Well, we don't have the room in the rec center.
oh, well, most of your
We're
stuff
outside.
was outside, like T-ball. I know that
Football,
y'all had the
soccer.
T-ball set up to be in the gym. T-ball, to me, if you're gonna do T-ball, let's do it right and teach the kids the fundamentals of baseball.
Right, and don't you think that would be something good for the league to do, if they've done all the
Well,
coaches
we've been
and-
trying, I've been here in Roswell for a long time, and this was the first year that I was able to talk to somebody, and matter of fact, it was Josh Torres over at Lions Hondo,
Mhm.
about doing T-ball. And then I had a basketball guy named Chris Bullard, and he was willing to get his people. And I even had some ladies that were willing to work with.
And are they signed up on this?
Nope.
And they won't?
They were going to,
there-
once we had.
You just wanna do your logistics.
I just wanted to know, hey, we were gonna come back to the table and say, hey, look, this is the time we can do it. All you have to do is provide us a gym and basketballs. With that, that's basically it. Cones, we have cones. Football, we have quite a bit of football stuff that we could have used. Baseball, it's the T-ball. Kids they're still doing baseball right now. It's not as difficult as most people want to make it out to be. I think-
I mean,
But we have to
we
do,
just don't want, we had lined up coaches that wanted to get it done going, and then we ran into a bunch of red tape.
but it's not us against the recreation. It's just something, when I got the call, if you ask me to come do something, I will do it. I volunteered for races, never got called. I don't have to be on a list, got my phone number, call me, I'll be there. I've never not once not showed up. I've always showed up. It's just, the bureaucratic red tape I don't know, it's just bad. Because we're losing our kids. I've talked about this even at the school board meetings. We're losing our kids. We don't provide enough for our kids.
And I think, James, that's definitely where we began with the camps, clinics, classes, whatever you want to call it. The reason we started the camps 20 years ago. Yes, you are right. Green Optimists could have their, whatever you want to call it, their skills class, whatever, in the summer. And so could the soccer fields. The problem that we ran into was something that James just hit on. And that's, our goal is to hit the underserved. It's the child that their parents can't afford those more expensive high-end, camps. Because sometimes, unfortunately, when Goddard has a football camp, they may charge $60, $70, $80 for that camp. And our goal was to have a smaller camp for $30, and we would have over 100 children come out for our football camp. We'd have 50 for the basketball camp. And yeah, it was not during the season of what those sports were, because they were strictly in the summer, because that's when parents had the most likely chance to take off to get in. And again, they weren't fancy by any means, and we did use some volunteers when they were possible. But realistically, we relied on teams to help us with camps.
Yep.
Like if he,
James
would bring in his teams that he had, and we would bring in, the cheerleaders, the cheer camp that we had 140 children at. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful because we were able to expose children to sports that they may never have the opportunity to do so. And it was only in the summer that his parents could take that opportunity to do that. We would do the British soccer camp, which again, if you look at the record, that was on the time of the children that could afford $150 for that camp. More than anything, it was a place for children to go so that they could tell their friends.
$150 for a soccer camp?
Yeah, the British summer camp.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy. She still does it.
They did it, yeah, and it would be full, I will go ahead and say that.
What's the difference between that and the other soccer camp?
Well,
It's all different?
It was, yeah, it was pretty fancy, it was very fancy. So,
Probably
yeah,
brought
with
in
shirts and things and gifts and giveaways, but we didn't do that, we would just give them a t-shirt. And the beauty of it was that the children could be exposed to things they never would probably have the opportunity to do something at an affordable cost.
But, I think
I mean,
we're still planning, if things worked out, we're still gonna try to do a football camp. Artesia's hosting a camp, and one of the gentlemen that's putting it on, they're from Roswell, but they're having to take their camp to Artesia.
Why?
And they're paying,
How can the kids from here get to Artesia to take a football
Hey.
camp?
you'd be surprised.
yeah.
And and they're charging an arm and a leg, they're bringing in some professionals, it's the same people that put the camp on over here at,
BFFL,
yes,
okay, yeah, there's some excellence.
which his son played on my team, but, but a lot of, I know none of my people are on that, they didn't sign up for that.
I gotta get background checks, I have.
There won't be no problem, it's just that why are we gonna fill out our paperwork and we're not gonna be able to do anything? That's what got me, we hadn't even, when I saw the email about camps and clinics and this and that, it was just like, wow, threw me for a loop. We can do the background checks, every one of my people will pass the background check.
Right, and that's all, I just gotta make sure, and that I have to.
Right, I understand that.
Working with kids, you have to. I'm sorry, I did not think that changing the dates of them would be that big of a thing. This was
My phone, my number's public. And I'm not telling people how to do things, because I know you couldn't make the meeting, but, anybody else, they can just call, hey, can I get some information on this? You have other employees, and they're empowered to reach out, right?
they are empowered to reach out.
Same way
And
they
if I
say,
can get them the time to reach out, then we are very, very tight.
I understood, but in the same token,
And camps are kicking us right now.
And that's what I feel like it was, because it was such tight restraints on your staff, here we were trying to be a relief to that.
Yeah.
And just, if there was a way for them to sign up, taking all that responsibility. Now I feel like, with the new times, it's gonna be put back on your staff all over again, because the volunteers just can't make it at those times. And then here they have to,
Well, and I will be more than happy to meet with anybody that came to that meeting, and I will call them personally, and we're trying to work it. I thought they were on this list.
No.
Because I thought you could send in a text or an email that you got, and everyone was starting to sign up on the list. So
we
I
had met to
misunderstood
try to
that.
get some sign up. I know
So if we can do that, and we'll call you guys and find out exactly who the contact will be, and start working with them and seeing what they can do. Because you take the roller skating, we call it the clinic. I think that's cool as can be, but now we're paying Tracy overtime. She's not scheduled to work there. She cannot make up that time anywhere else, and she cannot flex it to do that. So she agreed that she would come back and she would do that.
Did we come up with it?
Tracy and I talked about tentatively, what would work for our schedule. We were waiting to hear back if because it was gonna be after hours, Monday to Friday. Cause they close at 5:00.
It would go until 6.
From like, I think it's 5:30 to 6:45.
Yeah, she was getting everything ready. We came up with just a fee of $20 each.
That's perfect.
And that will cover because we did the cost analysis. That will cover if we have to start getting more equipment, because we barely had.
So
Yeah.
the,
So if this
You
takes
have-
off and we need more equipment, then we can start
So
getting.
you guys will provide the equipment?
so
No.
the helmets and, you
Not
guys-
this first round. We don't have it to provide it. We don't
Tracy
have
said you
the.
had it.
No, she got what they used for that,
For the skateboard.
yes, so she just has a little bit of the smaller stuff. So if they're an older child, or if they're.
I'll go buy tomorrow and decide.
Yeah, so she's got that,
We have equipment.
and she thought y'all had some equipment for the older ones.
but you know what, at $20, that's reasonable, and you can go buy, I know I went to Target and I bought my niece the pads and the elbow pads, knee pads, and the little helmet thing, and it didn't set me back that much, because I went to Target. Go to
And when
Walmart.
we held our camp at the Boys and Girls Club, we just told them, you're required to provide space
Yeah.
and the protective gear. And they all
So
came with it.
that helps to cover Tracy's time, or staff time for opening it back up, and it helps if we can get some supplies in the future.
Okay.
So that's what we're gonna do on that one. But we can, and I apologize, this did feel like it just kind of fell through, and I apologize. And it's probably, it's my fault, I'll take it, and we'll work better on getting this back and going, and see what we can do. It's just that I've got to make sure these are, without being able to meet them, I gotta talk with them and make sure that they understand, what we want out of this class, and what the parents are expecting, especially if we are charging for it, if we're not. And another thing too, budget is killing us. We can do all these. If we need any kind of money for any of these, it's gonna be so tight. And we'll think of something if we can.
Ours wasn't gonna cost a dime.
Doing it. Why is the league not doing it?
Because
That's what
I-
I figured the leagues would do this.
we, in the past, I have done the camps.
Right.
COVID hit, we had a situation 3 years ago, but the city was offering classes. If you're gonna offer something,
Yeah, and we couldn't offer them.
right,
And so that's
But
when we
that's-
turned to the leagues to see if,
okay.
and
Because-
we talked to Caleb, or we're in the process of talking with Caleb.
That's
And
no big-
seeing, what, and plus, we do have such limited space, and y'all seen that too. And when the leagues are in, it is hard, we can't put any classes in there at night, and if the volunteers can only do this at night, we had these little classes, they were at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, is when we did these classes. So it's trying to find if the time frame that would work around everything else. We don't even have enough gym space during basketball season for the teams to practice. Because it's so tight and so scheduled.
What about the marketing, for, is the volunteers going to marketing, is that something that Juanita's office would be able to assist with the flyer?
Right, and the thing that you will see coming out of Juanita's office, and the only thing we have a budget for is really social media. And the
Should be
flyers,
able to help with that, though.
yeah, she'll still be able to do that, and she's made flyers. In fact, I send over all the, once we know the ages, I'm sending her all the information tomorrow to make the flyer for the, for the clinic, for the roller skating clinic. And so we'll get those out.
Do I get that information to Tracy, the ages?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, you
The
have
ages and, how many we can, that's going to determine the ratio, and we have 5 coaches that we can have. What was it, 10 to 1? What is it, 6 to 1? 6 to 1 ratio?
I think it's just because, we didn't get that meeting in time, so Lindsay can't do it, so it's just me and Chrissy.
So we can do it to what you, we'll put the maximum to what you don't want.
I know, Tracy was talking about 5 to 12. I don't know.
I think having like one person with like a set of older kids, like 6 older kids, and maybe 2 of us with like the younger, like 5 to like 9-year-olds, or something like that, is what I was thinking.
Because you can do a higher ratio if they're older, right?
Yeah, I think if we went older, we could get more, but we won't have enough adults. Unless we can, put it out for tonight and see if there's anybody else.
Oh, and Morgan might actually want to, so we might have 4 of us.
Okay. Cause I would like to expand it to like 15 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no call you.
No problem. Any more questions? Moving right along, report on the recreation department.
No, I thought Corey was gonna be here, it's not, I'm just gonna judge it, I'm letting that.
What's happening on Wednesday? On this Wednesday?
It's not, it's a private, but of all, like, a community member.
I love it. I love to see it. I think this is great. I think
Got a
that's,
lot of sponsors and stuff, so
that's good.
it's gonna be hot.
You have floor report on recreation department.
Oh, okay. All right, so you guys, you got your report. Were there any questions? May, of course, revenue and attendance were down, but June should be a lot better. 'Cause, we got to open up the outdoor pool, and so that was cool. The indoor pool is, I'm thinking it's close. It's very close to opening back up. They're getting close to finishing, but we still gotta test and make sure the air quality is fine, and then that should be opening back up. And we're starting to sell more memberships, and it's really cool. See if there's anything else. You know, the adult center is really doing good. They really are. It's really cool to see that happen. That was them really busting it for about a year and a half, and just trying different things and getting stuff in, and then getting the right community members in. It's Geneva, and it's just been really cool to see that going. We are not, and Jim and I talked about this. The classes that we're going to do, it's an adult center. So the classes that we do for under 18 will be more or less like the classes where the adults are teaching the younger kids. We're not going to throw in youth programming over there. We're having a hard time making youth programming work over at the other center. And I really think, I don't want them to compete against each other. Because, you know, that would be too hard, and then you wouldn't get classes filled anyway. So, we got to figure out then what goes where and that kind of stuff. And so far, it's been working pretty good with all the stuff that we offer at the adult center. And just getting the rec center is very sports oriented, very much so. And so we have the most success with the leagues.
Right. Well, you know, my vision, I've been at adult center is really like my heart right now. But you know, we talked about trying to repair the relationship with some of the community and elders that have stopped going to the adult center, including like the public fund.
Yeah, and I spoke with Carolyn about that too. Yeah.
We're gonna back up.
Or do you want to know? I'm sorry.
Now, I'm gonna talk about your pickleball.
But like the classes that wouldn't compete, like you said, of, like filters for kids and classes that are more art and not to compete also with the museum as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
You know, that's communications, that, you know, we can't be competing with each other, and we're gonna eliminate, everybody has to make a profit. So let's get this out of our brain. Zoo's free, come July 1. It's 50-50 thing, 70-30, whatever it is, it's crazy.
Well,
But we can argue about this all day long, but you wait until council tells you to do it, and that's what we're gonna do.
right.
You already have a budget that's tight, you notice that all your money went into that, how'd that work out? So,
Well, it should have been a revolving account.
Should have
or
been, but it's
enterprise
not.
account,
It's
because
not.
anything that we bought
it's
in
not,
should have paid for more program.
it's
It
it
not.
went into general
It
services.
just doesn't do it,
But we're not gonna have that argument here.
right?
So,
What we're gonna talk about is going forward positive, period. Now, competing with the museum, right? We have kids that need to go into sports or learn how to sew or whatever it is we gotta do to keep them off the street. Carolyn has, not Carolyn, but the museum has a foundation that that's widespread as far as museums go. We have Roswell, or the county. So we're not compete with anyone, now we're gonna communicate better. They're gonna do their kennel and all that kind of stuff, we're not doing that anymore. But, you know, we get into some of these other things, we got more discussions with how this is gonna work with the museum and other people. And someone above us is gonna set a priority.
Yep.
Who's gonna do it? We want the kids to do it, we wanna go do it when we're putting chalk on the sidewalk, where there hasn't been any communications like this that actually stuck in the past. Because when they said, this is what you're gonna make, everybody went like that. And it became a silo again, because it started to compete with each other.
Right.
Because it wasn't how many people we helped, it's how much money we made. We're not doing that anymore. I don't even wanna hear it. So we're done with that.
I love it.
So the money that was being generated,
You know, I can see
where
what-
was it going?
The general fund. Right?
Yeah.
So,
And in my whole career, in my entire career, it went back to the programs. And so this is very new for me here, and it's been so frustrating. Because how can I grow a program and get new supplies for a new program if I only have a budget for the old programs? And so it's been an eye opener, here in trying to figure out, and I have mentioned till I'm blue in the face an enterprise fund. But they're all scared of the enterprise fund because that's what the water was, and the water, you know, that kind of
Well,
stuff. And, or other funds that didn't quite do as good. But you can in recreation. I had a $3 million enterprise fund.
Oh, we don't have that much total.
Yeah.
So, when you talk about overtime, we can talk to the council and maybe we can move some money around for overtime, if that's what it takes to reach the kids at the adult center.
Right.
They'll do overtime before they'll hire an employee, so, you know, we can look into that.
or do the volunteer program.
Well,
There's a lot of
Do the volunteer
adults
program.
that wanna work with kids, or there's a lot of adults that wanna show the lapidary classes open up so much to me, and I'm like one of their youngest in there, but now we have started the class, and the class has been full. And we're teaching skills to a different generation.
That's what we need, is to learn.
So
And
y'all,
I think any
Well,
of the,
seriously.
any of the craft stuff or any of these arts that you're learning, I think the adult center is a great place for.
Me
And
too.
it's not gonna compete at the rec center for anything. And so we really have got to, we've got, and I think you and I sat and talked about this, the identity of the adult center. The name alone, what is it conveying? And that's one of the things that we've got on our strategic plan too, is to really look at that. What does that convey in your mind? Should it be for younger than 18? You know, the whole bit, and does it do just this type of programming, and then the rec center, you know, concentrates more on the sports and the swimming, you know, that kind of stuff. So I think these are great discussions, and could be even more.
Great, maybe we need to have a separate meeting.
I-
with volunteers, but Carolyn's here for a reason, so I'm gonna give my time up to her, if need be.
is that a request?
Yes, that's a request for me. You know that it's a request.
Okay.
Carolyn, we have already voted yes, but we are excited to hear about it.
Well, I'm sorry, I had this down that this was a holiday that was moved to next week, and so I got a text from Jim.
I probably fit, so.
Anyway, I'm the president of the Roswell Adult Center Foundation, and I have been in next, the Roswell Adult Center, not in your minutes, it says Adult Center, so the Roswell Adult Center. It's with the RAC Foundation. And our bylaws say that we can only use money for the adult center. That is all it is for. It is not to be used anywhere else in the city for anything else. And we've tried for the last number of years, especially during COVID, prior to that, to provide services and fill in the blanks that the city can do. We've had a blockage in being able to get things done. And a lot of dissatisfaction with the fees, which have now been adjusted. People don't know that though. The publicity and area of information that comes out about the adult center. And I'm sorry, we're adults, but not all of us are tuned in to look at everything online. And the Roswell Daily Record doesn't have a great response, but that to me is where we need to put something that we put up a new sign there. The Roswell Adult Center Foundation said we would pay for a sign that was an electric sign, one that would say what's going on and flash, or we would pay for a poster board to put outside that people could write on and have it on the corner of Eighth and Missouri. We never got any cooperation. But to go on from that,
So what do you want to put in?
I want to put in, the foundation has been trying and wanted for years to do something significant to bring attention to adults. And we said that the pickleball courts, which we understand is the fastest growing sport in the United States. We researched the size of the lot, what will fit there. We can put 4 courts there. Use existing parking, fence it, light it, make it as good as anybody, and cover 2 of them. When you do the pickleball courts, you have a face north-south, so the sun isn't in somebody's eyes. We're going to cover the first 2 on Missouri. We're going to match the colors of the metal roof. The entrance is going to be where the old church entry foundation is, and there'll be another entrance on the other side. We're going to do it right. We have the budget and the availability to do it. Already talked to the city manager, and the city attorney about leasing the property on a 5-year basis. Once the lease is, once we finish it, and it's all approved and accepted, we've already seen the diagrams of what we're offering. I don't know if you got the latest one, we're gonna pitch the roof just a little bit more. It'll look a little better. But we'll pay for it completely, we'll have no responsibility on its construction. We'll want a grand opening celebration when we get it done. And after, we'll have a 30-day notice, notification to the city that we're going to terminate our lease on the property. We'll go back to the city and we figure it will take less than a year.
I was just gonna ask that, so it's taking care.
But we want to add, this is the first time that this has been done, that I know of in the state of Roswell, thank you. And we're going to use the same thing out here for the swimming pool, what used to be, with the Spring River Foundation. And so we're going to use yours as a pattern, and we'll do the same thing with them. Because as a government, we have so much liability and insurance. You have to pay everybody federal wages for $18 an hour, whatever it is. And it makes it difficult for us, but individuals,
We can
nonprofit.
negotiate on a different basis.
Yeah, but it's better to spend the money on what you're doing than government. So it's gonna work out well, as long as the contracts, we have talked to legal and, yeah.
Got a question. Has anybody spoken? I guess there's a pickleball club or group that plays.
They're aware.
Oh, they are aware? Okay. Yes, I had spoken to some of these folks, because I think they're playing at your gym, and they play back over here once in a while.
Or any others being built by the city. Or any other courts being, where was anybody know of any other? I've heard of some churches that were doing it.
What about the institute?
I don't think.
Well, if the institute builds it, it's gonna be on institute property, and it's gonna be strictly institute.
Well, I'm not so sure.
Well, they're,
Chad, he was our business coordinator for the city, and they just brought him in over there at the institute as a business coordinator, and they're trying to do more within the community to get their numbers up.
Well,
I guess because that's where most people find tenants, is at the institute, is that where they've been?
yes.
we'll be the first one with the pickleball courts, and, you know, it's different, they wanna have a city tournament or whatever, they go to different places, but, what we're doing here is fantastic.
We're really excited that we're making progress on getting
And
this
will
done.
the public be able to use it at free of charge? Is that-
It's not gonna be a gate, but there's gonna be a gate,
But
but it's
it's-
not gonna be a fee gate. It'd be really nice if they were members of the adult center, because if they wanna use the bathroom, they have to come in there. So we will encourage that, of course, and I think that'll get more people actually inside the adult center.
We'll put in pay for it.
Do you know our, the membership?
Look at that book. Chicago, come on. Give me a break.
And I'm part of doing the class while we're talking about the adults in from Diane. I've been going to the class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday with the exercise. And I would like to suggest that you give her an option to do other ways of doing it. Doing it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the exact same thing for you. And you're gonna lose members. I hope it's doing a good job, but there needs to be a little bit of variety. That maybe she isn't aware, she's not a professional trainer person. She's doing it with a support, and that's we're bringing people in, but they're gonna leave.
All right, I'll let electricity know.
I know that there was a few people that, were wanting to maybe do a remote spots there. I don't know if they ever reached out, like different remote spots that you can gather by.
Man, we would love it. We've lost so many instructors. We go through so many instructors.
Is Bill still doing that stuff?
Bill, he's kind of backed away a little bit.
That's what I heard.
So the senior workout classes, what day?
There's one at 9:30 Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and
And
then
then there's an evening
me
one,
and
Tuesday,
afterwards
Thursday.
there's another senior action. One's a stretching, one's a senior exercise, and they're 9:30 and then 9:30 to 10. 9:30 to 10 and 10:30, 10 to 10. It's an hour.
And yoga at 11.
And over the Twitter's a life stress before.
Right. But you got a lot of stuff going on over there.
Do you think, Colette, do you think it would be, I'm not sure, supervisor would be open to maybe getting in discussions with Senior Olympics during the future? Some type of a relationship with them?
I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be really cool.
Because the seniors used to be, I learned how to play that shuffle game,
Yes.
shuffleboard, when the Senior Olympics. They used to go to the Roswell Adult Center and they would put out the little green hats and play the shuffle. But that was pretty interesting. I was young
Very
then.
good, yeah. And now you can compete.
Did
We
they?
did something there that's
Right.
Thank you all for approving the adult center doing this, and I assume that you will send it to general services, so.
Yes.
I don't know if we get it on the agenda by next week.
Well, it
There's
says,
not a general service.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yay.
Next week there is.
I thought
Well,
it
they
was
canceled it though.
They canceled next week? Okay,
Carolyn?
Juanita sent an email out saying there wasn't one this month.
okay. Yeah, it's sounding familiar now.
Carolyn, were you gonna put together like a PowerPoint to show them the pictures and all of that? Do you need anything else with that?
Yeah, we'll
yes,
have
and
to-
we have the
Okay.
sketches from Smith Engineering,
Okay,
but we don't have any of that done. We're not spending our money on something that's not necessary. We want to spend it where it shows and where it'll work for the city, and not just.
Honestly, if you have a drawing to show, that's fine.
That's all you need. Talk, talk. They're not gonna say no.
We have a board that is all committed to keeping the adults in our, the adults. The Roswell adults.
Okay, I got a question real quick. How does the foundation get their money?
We have, been around since, the 60s, early 70s, I don't know the exact date. I have to look at our bylaws to look down, and letters and articles of appropriation. But, back in the heyday, especially during the late 60s and 70s, when they were doing the big recruitments, there were probably 200, 300 people a day in the adult center. And we were left a number of endowments and wills and some properties and some things that we were buying as a foundation. If you ever wanted to look at anything in there, there was a foundation tag on it saying it's been provided by the foundation. From kilns to stuff in the wood shop, I mean, just anything they wanted, they came to the foundation. The city didn't have to support the materials that were used there. And, Larry Harris, not Larry Harris, Larry McCrary has been on the board, the longest. He was one left
Bernie,
Yeah.
Bernie,
No.
Bernie was the gentleman that passed
Harris,
away.
not
Yes,
Harris.
wasn't it Bernie
Anyway,
Harris?
That we accumulated a number of money that we were able to invest it, and we've already used back when interest rates on CDs were 13%. And all this
Girl.
kind of stuff, and it was several guards. Very guarded, and we spend less than we make, and over the years it's grown.
Okay.
And I mean, we refinished the floor one year in the gym. We put up new curtains in there. We've done a lot of tests the last few years. We haven't been able to do much reading.
Do you feel that the way, things have been changing, that there's gonna be a better relationship with the city and the foundation going forward?
The foundation was ready to dissolve until we had an opportunity to once again talk with the city and then listen to us.
Listen.
Wow. All right.
I heard part of it.
Good job.
But
All right. moving-
I'm really pleased to be here. I'm sorry I came late and I'm dressed like this, but
Every time I try to call you, I think you're out of the country, so.
well, I'm getting ready to do that.
Yeah.
We're gonna get, if I'm not available for chamber services, it's until July, and we'll get that back, and I'll talk to Tess and make sure we're working on that. What they approve it, we can get to legal, get that, so we get started.
All right, thank you.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I don't have my exact notes.
Oh, no problem.
I've got lots.
Moving right along, we're going to report on the Parks Department. Were you-
I'm moving back.
We're doing fine. Kept the reports here. We're very proud of our staff. We got Ruben at the cemetery. That the only thing we had to change on the cemetery is we're gonna build a columbarium and build a shelter. Now it's just gonna be the columbariums. Gonna go back to the board again and redesign that. Don't want to dig on stuff later. Put in a cover. Golf, paid 98,000 net, post out last month. Golf carts are coming in. It's not gonna make June, it'll be a couple weeks in July before we get those. And, new range picker, we probably get to a point where we have some things to sell. It took a couple of years because we don't zero budget to start with. It took a minute, but we're there and, get lots of compliments on the, shape of the golf course and greens. Got David Blewett being engaged. Anyhow, he's spraying weeds. He's also working on the competition field and the soccer field. We'll get those caught back up because they're lots of fun over there. So that's kind of the golf and parks. You've heard them call the parks department A team now because they finally figured out we do a lot of weird stuff. But we have a large group of people, so if anybody needs help, we can do it. We're ready downtown now for the fourth. That worked out real well. I don't know, I mean, as everybody knows, we planted trees and we've been taking care of the parks and we're gonna have a pollinator thing this coming Saturday here. Mama stepped down 11 to 1, something like that. We'll be teaching the kids. And, so we'll be here Saturday, teaching the kids, be reading books, trying to get everybody together, have popcorn and some hot dogs. And Mrs. Murphy spent, I don't know, $750. And there's one out here already, it's like a bee house thing. So we're gonna pick those up tomorrow. So we're just gonna have giveaways, health department's coming in. It's gonna have fun.
They'll be fun.
Yeah, it's funny, it's gonna be hot, but the visitors work, and the doors will be open, so we actually have restrooms that flush. We're gonna try to change the, contract with our porta potties. Emery's not keeping up with anything, and it's just, I'm just done. I've talked to them many times, and we constantly get complaints that they haven't been serviced. So we will be changing companies, and, You're looking at a contract for that time. I don't think the city's ever had a contract for the porta potties, neither of them would put it here. There's no stipulations on what's going on and how many times they clean them, and so we'll tighten that up a little bit. So, what else? What other department? The zoo, you know, it's gonna be free July 1. So we gotta look at some security.
Are they gonna advertise that?
That's
I will
awesome.
advertise.
Like a big
Yes.
party and at the
Well, I don't
zoo?
know about a big party. I mean, I gotta look at security first. And so we're gonna, my marching orders are the train to Carousel Pond, which is the well. And then look at, how we secure the zoo and new USDA requirements. So, those are federal laws left up to interpretation. So fed, state, city, whatever. So we'll be looking at some of the laws. So we walked through the zoo, they've got parks employees over there now, helping bring up the maintenance. And, we'll see what happens in the zoo. So it's the same thing.
Now, were you hiring somebody new at the golf course? Cause they're,
Well, each of, all the departments have open.
okay, cause I just
So,
know
yeah,
somebody
there's a-
left. or-
Well, there's an opening for, what, assistant manager or something at golf. He's looking for someone that knows how to run tournaments, so Eric can
Oh,
have a
okay.
chance and actually go, teach golf like he's supposed to. He's supposed to be doing golf lessons and playing tournaments. So he has his pro status, but we want him out there with customers,
Okay.
not just in trying to sell golf
Start
balls and tees.
merchandise.
We have a staff for that. And, police department has some openings, just whenever they post them, they're kind of drawing back a little bit, because if it changes, the budget goes through, I think it goes $15 an hour, so, you know, here we go with all the people, we're going from 12 to 13 to 15. So there's things going on internally that, we have to process. And, but I think the goal now is to get everybody back together and have fun, and be happy, opening up the park. They sell their last ticket at 3 o'clock and they close at 4.
Kids get out of school.
Yeah, so, and used to be open until dusk. There's not anybody having picnics on the weekend, and that was huge out there. But the gates of the parking lot are closed, so, I'm looking at taking the fence down, but I may put the fence somewhere else just to secure part of the zoo and separate it. We have to look at USDA. But the idea is to be able to go to the restroom and go play on the train and the carousel, have a picnic, and not necessarily go through the entire zoo. Go through the entire zoo, have to have zookeepers. But I don't have zookeepers that have the fence, and you're in the park. I haven't separated the two. In the past, it wasn't done that way because we wanted to make the zoo bigger, to bring in income. So I think that's everything. Anybody's got any questions? I mean,
I wanted, I don't know if this would go under the reports on parks, but maybe it'd be under public comment, was about our meeting that we had, with Christina Arnold. And we're in very, very early stages of, trying to expand the skate park and, flat track for roller derby, or junior roller derby, or adult roller derby. And that's just in discussion right now. I know that we have Tracy here with Russell Roller Derby, and we have the specs for the track. We also have a nonprofit 501(c) status that we would probably want to fundraise through, depending on what the budget is, so we can hit the ground running. Maybe look at legislative money, or capital outlay money, or just fundraising. A lot of fundraising. I know that would be for the flat track, and I think bigger money would have to come in for the skate park. So I just wanted to put that out there in the realm of.
we're trying to stay within the budget, but just doing a kick out on the trail system we have.
Yeah.
Was something that, you know,
And then
I had to look up what a pump track was. Like, what is that?
it'd be great for all rollers, including bicycles, scooters. And that would be something that we know that the city can't take on. We recognize that. We're not asking for city budget out of that, but city support, yes, definitely. And we feel that we've come very far in getting support, just sitting at the table and talking about it, has been encouraging to us to really try try to raise that money.
You know, there's a lot of power in this town, just listen and work together. It really is, to get everybody going. We need your help.
So we're now to public comments. Anybody from the public sign up to speak?
All right, here we go.
Did anybody sign up to speak? Okay, we didn't have anybody. You signed up to speak?
Yes.
You did?
Yes,
Did she sign up?
I told everybody I wanted to speak. That's why I'm here, James.
It'll be good.
Okay, I guess we can change the rules. 3 minutes, please.
All right, listen up quick. I'm Rita Kane, Dorhofer, very narrow, unstriped, Chicago Cubs mailbox, Mark Road. I believe I am a card-carrying member of the adult club, the adult center, adults. Those little kids running around the other time, we just absolutely left the place. I love the idea that adult is an adult, even though some adults don't show it. Pickleball. Maybe you need classes to teach officials. There's some of us that would love to do it, but we're handicapped, so therefore we can't do it. Does anybody know who Elizabeth Michaels is? She makes $61,000 from this city to write grants. You need something, you get her to write a grant. That's all she does is write grants. There is no, you writing down her name? Elizabeth Michaels. She makes 61 grand to write grants, and that is all she does. What?
Her last name, she's married now, her last name's Richard.
Yes, I knew that, but anyway, she's on my list as, it's my turn.
You gave up your 3 minutes
Yes,
to Carolyn.
yes, let's see here. RSVP, does anybody know what RSVP stands for?
Return volunteer program.
Yes, and do we all know who the president of RSVP is? We volunteer, I'm the president. We volunteer, you just call us, you need some people, we do a lot of things. I teach over at the Boys and Girls Club because they didn't like me at the adult center because I made the kids wear closed-toed shoes when we were out picking up trash. I teach classes there. Now I go over to the Boys and Girls Club because they appreciate me. Seriously, I mean, we have talent out there and they are not being used. Like you said, James, nobody calls you. You fill out forms. I tell everybody, hey, I got a PhD in education. I can write a curriculum for you. I can do a lot. Just call me. My phone doesn't ring. Well, you call me.
I got a whistle too.
I do have a whistle, because when you're dealing with those little kids over there and they learn. Does anybody have any questions? I mean, you call, you get grants. I write grants all the time. I get grants for trash bags, which I give away, and rubber bands, which I get back, and trash cans. You can do anything. You need roller skates. You can get, if you're a club and you're with, or a clinic, and you're with the city, they could probably write grants for you. I know my sister was a roller derby person back in the 60s.
When they created.
Was that a wooden track in Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, and she wasn't nasty, but we knew how to play. I went to your first opening game and I had to sit on the floor. I thought I was never gonna get back up. But there are certain things that you can do. You just need to talk to the people. And one more thing. Hey, we need you back on the radio.
Thank you.
I'm serious. You wanna get people involved, people listen on the radio. I miss you, Lori.
I know.
I really do, because we would find out what is going on, what's happening at the zoo. Are we giving ice cream cones to the polar bears? Oh, we don't have polar bears, that's right. But I'm serious. You use the people that you have. You don't abuse us, but our phones don't ring. Thank you.
Okay,
I would like to do both. I would like to do both.
You do.
make it brief.
Well, my question goes back to Jim. Jim, I forgot to ask you one last little thing about the inclusion part.
All inclusive?
Yes, is it almost done, or, because there's so much going on.
Well, there's two phases.
Beautiful.
Phase one's almost done. As soon as they get the fence welded,
Uh-huh.
we got to clean up their mess. We'll probably lock the gates. There's some gates going around there, and then we'll get just the outside part, get some grass or something put in there.
Okay.
And the gates are because of the population is
Well,
kids.
the gates have to do, well, they're locking them, but the gates are there to keep the children in, that, in case they get excited and run.
To run out.
The idea is the outside edge now, even the caregivers can relax and read a book or watch, and they know that their kids can, or whoever they're helping, it only has three ways to get out. It's more of a security thing. So it's really close. I mean, we were over there the other day, and the rubber junk's down, and all the play equipment's in, and there's chimes and xylophones, all kinds of cool things. There's a thing there where you dig in the sand and finding dinosaur bones, sensory thing. So now they just have to finish the fence and clean the mess. We'll look at the grand opening.
Good. Keep us in mind, Department of Health.
I will, and we're trying to help some other folks put their signs out.
I love it.
And there's no naming policy for City of Roswell, there's a renaming policy, so.
So are you gonna call it something special?
Yeah, to the Roswell All-Inclusive Park. There's not another one south of I-40, so.
I just wanted to respond to Rita about the kids and the adult center. I do not ever envision seeing it like how it was, like when the Yucca Center closed and they all went in. When I think of a class of youth being taught by elders, is structure, one classroom, and when the class is over, they're to leave, not to be hanging around, going to the gym, doing that. It's not a hangout spot. It's there for curriculum and whatnot. So I do agree with that, but I do also think that there's a learning where we've lost this adult. Every child needs a trusted adult, and they're not getting it on the streets. They're not getting it in certain places. So
You're right, by the way, I'm vetted
Right.
already,
and
with
we're
all the courts and the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
So I'm safe.
I know I did sign up,
Sure, again.
because I wasn't here.
there's not a ton of.
Can I say another thing about the idea of adults mentoring the children and working? If there's a lot of the quilters in the quilt shop would be willing to teach, but we're not going to use our machines to teach kids. Those are we have too expensive an item to bring and transfer over there on a regular basis for class. You're talking about teaching sewing, you teach sewing before you teach quilting.
Right.
You know,
So-
there's
Yes.
a process, and they can't come in with no skills and say they're gonna make a quilt. That's kind of out there. So there's some things that.
Right, and I don't-
If you wanna do that, you need to find out a little bit, have a little bit more background in that, and there need to be some machines that are provided that are a little more indestructible, if you're gonna put kids there. It can grow, but
We can write the curriculum, we'll buy some sewing machines, we'll just rock them.
I'm not writing a grant, you're paying someone
That's a curriculum.
$61,000, I can write a curriculum. I can write it free, I'm
No,
not free.
I'm just putting my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Right, and even like the lapidary, we wouldn't want youth in there with machinery like that. You know, there's common sense. And when I said quilting, I think sewing. So I'm not a sewer, but apparently. I don't know what I'm talking about, but just that concept of getting children working with adults that are carrying the weight. So.
Now, the adult center's still not open on Saturdays.
There's been a lot of parties, a lot of rooms that could be rented, I think. Maybe down the line, I don't know,
So,
the staff, yeah.
so we move to the end of the agenda. We will be adjourning at 6:46.
All right.
Oh, no. The next meeting will be July 17th, 5:30, correct? 5:30, correct.
I need to take a picture of you for grant money for the trash.
Gotcha.
Everybody